Hey, I'm Jade Keogh.
And hello from me too, I'm Grace Seeley.
We both play for the Millwall Lionesses and are sponsored by the No One Likes Us talking team.
Why not sponsor one of our teammates just like they do?
To find out how, just email
kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk.
I'll say that again.
kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk.
In your email, say who you want to sponsor and we'll get back to you with the sponsorship details and what to do next.
This is all you have to do and it will help us to get back to where we belong. Thank you, guys.
Now, enjoy our Millwall fan show from No One Likes Us talking team.
Come on, Mir.
Bethany Warren here, and you've joined us for the weekly Our Millwall fan show with the Millwall No One Likes Us talking team, which is broadcast every Friday evening. Enjoy!
Ahead of tonight's show, we pause to remember another Lion who is no longer with us. Peter Allen passed away on the 6th of February, aged 76. He had made a record 491 appearances for Orient before he joined Millwall in March 1978. He played 21 games for us, but had to retire due to injury at the age of 32 in May 1979. Peter then became a coach with us, working with our youth team and reserves, when then coach Dave Payne left Millwall in 1979. He later qualified as a solicitor. Former Lion Phil Coleman and former Millwall chairman Jeff Burnage remembered Peter as a really decent bloke. Our sincere condolences go out to Peter's family and friends. Rest in peace, Peter Allen.
So, the biggest crowd at the Den on Saturday since 1995 and the third biggest crowd there ever. Wow. I'm your host, Bethany Warren, and I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Myles Thornton, Debbie Julians and Stan Godwin.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Good evening, Myles, Debbie and Stan. How are we all doing this evening?
Good morning, good morning, good evening, Bethany. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I got my clock a bit wrong, but no, other than that, I'm leaning forward all the way, mate.
Good.
Yeah, great. It's good to have you as the first-time host. That's brilliant. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes, shall we? How are you, Myles? You okay?
Yeah, all good. Thank you, Bethany. Are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you, my love. Well, what a game at the Den against Sunderland. Loud, 14 shots on goal. Bit controversy and a few goals, but sadly Mason Bennett was carried off and we sent all our well wishes to him. It looked like a pretty nasty injury, so all the best, Mason. So, Myles, you reported for Maritime Radio for us, although George wanted to claim the report.
To George Lampy and see how Millwall got on today. George, are you there?
You're reporting live from the Den. That's it. It's all over at the Den. We went into half-time at 0-0 after having that goal disallowed in the first half, but we came back out fighting, and on the 59th minute, Jake Cooper put the ball in the back of the net with a towering header. We carried on creating chances, but suddenly hit back. Alex Pritchard got it into Dennis Sirkin, who had just come back from injury. He headed it into the back of the net, and on 81 minutes, Millwall fans only wanted an attack. Then two players, one from each side, went down injured, and the stretcher came on for a second time, earlier on for Mason Bennett, and now one of their players, but it was only brought on as a precaution and wasn't needed in the end. The referee added on 6 minutes to the end of the match, but none of the chances created in those 6 minutes were put away. It ends here at the Den. Millwall 1, Sunderland 1, and the points are shared on to QPR away next Saturday. Come on, you Lions.
There we go. We've got a point there at Millwall today. Okay, coming up for you next, we've got...
You had a voice full of drama, belief, and one that was on the edge of extinction. What was your take on the game?
Yeah, it was a really good game. There was a lot of action. I lost my voice. And yeah, as if anyone that listened to the recording on Maritime Radio, I'd hardly understand myself when I heard it back. So apologies for that. But it was a good game. There was a first half goal for George Honeyman disallowed wrongly, in my opinion. a foul on Bradshaw, which should have been a penalty. All in the first half. We went into half-time at 0-0. Jake Cooper put us ahead at 1-0, with a good goal. He was lying down and suddenly scored, so it's a good goal. And then Dennis Serkin, who got injured in the making of the goal, put Sunderland back level, and the game ended 1-1. Would have been better to win it, though.
Yeah. Debbie, what about the penalty shout for Bradshaw being manhandled?
Ooh, well, I've got a lot to say on that. Actually, the foul, it should have been awarded. I mean, it was ridiculous. And this is my opinion, okay. A former referee said that Alish, I can't pronounce his name, but he was clumsy. I call it more than clumsy. He did touch him, there's no doubt. I'm afraid, I don't often say it, I'm afraid the ref was totally, it's the ref is its first league list for a year, so he's on the league list for a year. He's obviously fast tracking, and he was out to impress all the assessors. The whole way he carried himself and the demeanour, I mean, he waved that foul and he before Bradshaw even hit the deck. I mean, that was just bad. It's very bad form. And as for the disallowed goal, that was again that he was just biased. He was just trying to impress the assessors.
I definitely agree. The assessors were actually sitting just over from where we sit, and I think they heard a lot of our opinions that game. They heard more than once. But with the disallowed goal, I've watched it back multiple times now, and I can understand it at first, but the keeper saved it. Yes. And he fumbled it. So that it was the time as well. It took over 2 minutes for him to be chatting to the liner. It was wild. Yeah.
But the goalie could obviously see if he went for it. So where was the blind spot? And then you've got to go into where when you've got a wall of penalties for penalty taking, it's a naughty one.
Absolutely agree, but we won't discuss him any further. We will not give him any more oxygen. Stan, briefly, what are your thoughts on the return of Ollie Burke for his second debut and Duncan Watmore for his first?
Well, I've always been a fan of Ollie Burke anyway. I mean, I thought when he was with us the first time round, I thought he was pretty good then. Clearly then, I'm talking about the first time round, I think he was... He definitely needed a lot more minutes. I mean, I think he was always at a disadvantage then when he come in, and I was disappointed when we lost him when he went off to Werder Bremen. I mean, I thought, well, that's the end of him. We won't see him no more. And all of a sudden, he pops up out of the blue. But no, I mean, I rated him. And as for the other new guy, I mean, they done fine. I mean, I've got, as somebody said the other day, we're the squad as such is stronger than it was, say, at the start of the season. And no, that's fine. But can I just say this about in relationship to the match officials, because although I mean. And not only did Millwall fans say the same, but I also know that Sunderland fans were of the same view. I think that, it'd be easy just to blame the referee, but I happen to think the three of them were poor. Yeah. Right? I mean, what I couldn't understand is in relationship to the goal that we scored and then got chalked off, at no time did that linesman put his flag up. Right? Now, normally... If they got a doubt about it, the flag would go up, and his flag didn't go up. I mean, okay, he's talking on the radio. Well, so what? But why didn't he put his flag up? Exactly. And I thought they were poor, and I think that they ruined the game not only for Millwall but for Sunderland as well. But it was a good game. It was an exciting game. I mean, I had an idea of what we would expect from Sunderland when I heard the manager, Tony Mowbray, who's no mug in my opinion, and he fully knows his business, when he was saying on the Friday about the Millwall crowd, we're like the 12th and 13th man and all that sort of thing. And I think when they first started off Sunderland, they got about us. I mean, they were relentless. They just made sure they condensed the space, and every opportunity they had they closed us down, and they were there to make, because they knew by doing that they was then hoping that the crowd would get frustrated, and then we'd all get on the backs of our players. It didn't happen, but no, I mean they were up for it for that reason, Sunderland, to make sure that they had control of the game from the start. Didn't work out that way, but that was the idea. Anyway, and that's that really.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we will take a break there and we'll be back with our first guest this evening. But for now, let's listen to Debbie Julians again, talking about our sponsor, G&M Motors.
Our Millwall Fan Show is sponsored by family business G&M Motors of Gravesend and Meopham in Kent. They are Millwall fans too. They've been Honda dealers for over 50 years. At G&M Motors Gravesend, you can purchase a new Honda. At both Gravesend and Meopham, they have a combined range of over 150 quality used cars and ex-demonstrators to suit all budgets and lifestyles. They also offer a comprehensive range of repair and maintenance services to ensure your vehicle stays reliable, safe, and retains a higher value with trust. G&M Motors, Gravesend and Meopham are dear friends of the Julians family. From Lenny to Debbie, and also our Millwall Fan Show.
I'm your host, Bethany Warren, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Myles Thornton, Debbie Julians and Stan Godwin. Our sponsors, G&M Motors of Gravesend and Meopham. Our first guest was born in Oxford and started his footballing career via the Oxford United youth system. He made his league debut for the U's in April 2000. Eventually he departed the Cassim Stadium in January 2006 for Hearts, where he had a short stay and then arrived at the Den in August 2006. He made 145 appearances for us, scored 6 goals and kept the bench warm on 33 occasions, until he departed in May 2012 and joined Northampton Town. In 2016, he hung up his boots and took up coaching back at Oxford, where today he is the lead professional development phase coach for the under-18s. Without saying any more, let's say hello to Chris Hackett.
All right, Chris.
Good evening all. How are we doing? You okay?
Yeah.
Hello, Chris. You okay?
Good evening all. How are we?
Good, thanks, Chris.
Good stuff, good stuff.
Lovely. So, Chris, before I let the panel chat with you, you made your greatest amount of appearances with Millwall, and a trademark of your play was that blistering pace that you brought to our side, often ending with tremendous crosses. However, the beginning of your second season saw you get injured at Gillingham in October and remain on the injury list for the remainder of the season. That was a big disappointment to the fans, who were really impressed with what you brought to the team, but an injury for that length of time must have been torturous for you, right?
Yeah, that blistering pace seems a long time ago now, to be fair. But yeah, I did at the time, and it was an asset of my game. I was a wide player. Used to like to get a full-back, old school wide player, go wide and get crosses in. But yeah, that first season, I felt sharp, I felt good. I started well, but unfortunately, at Gillingham away, last minute of the game, I think we were winning 2-1. And I unfortunately did my crucial, which put me out for kind of 6 to 9 months, which is quite a kind of a major injury. So that kind of set me back a little bit. But I think I came back as strong after as well. So I had some good spells off the back of that. But yeah, obviously with any professional athlete getting a major injury like that, it is frustrating, and it does set you back.
Absolutely.
Hello, Chris. Myles here. How did the move come about to Millwall? As there was interest from other sides, but what did it take to bring you to the Den?
Well, obviously, I started at Oxford, and at the time, the move to Hearts came about because I was 21 at the time, and I think you could move cross borders for, it was like a Bosman back then, so I could move to Hearts at the time, and they were doing really well. George Burley in charge. That season, they actually qualified for the Champions League, so they finished above Rangers that season. So the Hearts move came about, but I moved there in January, and within kind of 2-3 months of me being there, Burley and Graham Ricks, who took me there, had left the club, and they had Russian owners anyway. So they brought in a Lithuanian a manager who didn't speak too much English, and at the time kind of said to me and a few other boys who'd been signed in the previous era that we weren't really going to play for the club, and they were looking to change direction a little bit. So I was 21, stuck in Edinburgh at the time, I'd moved from Oxford, which was quite a big move for me, being up there on my own. And I was quite keen to get back down back down close to home or back in England, really. I had a couple of clubs interested at the time because I had a good couple of seasons at Oxford. So before I left for Hearts, there was a few clubs interested. Millwall, one of the clubs interested at the time. And to be honest, when I heard of their interest at the time, it was a no-brainer for me. It was close, not too far from Oxford, but obviously where I grew up, so it was close to family. And obviously knowing the history of the club, they'd just come down from the Championship at the time. Some good players. Kind of knew the fans and the passion the fans brought, so it was something that I really wanted to explore, and I really pushed for that at the time.
Fantastic. Hi Chris, it's Debbie here.
Hi there.
Hi. It was not a stable beginning with managers at Millwall. You had Nigel Spegman briefly in charge when you arrived, followed by Willie Donachie for a year. And then Richard Shaw, who had been Willie's assistant, filled the spot for a month before Kenny Jackett arrived for the remainder of your term at Millwall.
Yeah.
Were you concerned about your position at the club? We're having all those experiences with the managers at Hearts?
Yeah, I mean, I'd kind of been through that experience as well. Of course, like any footballer, when a new manager comes in, you kind of have to you recognise there could be change. And you recognise that the new manager might want to bring in new players, which they do. But at the same time, me personally, some players look in different ways. Me personally, I'd kind of experienced that at Hearts, so I was kind of aware of that situation. To be honest, when I was at Oxford, there was a lot of transition, a lot of change. When I was from a young age, really, I'd experienced a lot of managerial changes. So I was kind of experienced in that situation and recognised what that brought at the time. So yeah, of course, I think it's natural for any footballer or in any walk of life, really, any job, really, when a new boss comes in, I think everybody kind of is aware that there could be change. So I was no different at the time. And there was a lot of times when I had to kind of reprove myself again. Obviously, off the back of coming back from injury, I had to kind of reprove myself to Kenny to get into his team because I'd been out for a while. I was injured when he came in as the manager. So I had to really kind of knuckle down and prove myself and get myself into his team, which I did eventually. So yeah, you have to show a bit of fight. But I think now with my experience working with kind of younger players and footballers now being around it, I think that's a massive part of it. I think the psychological side of it and being able to deal with knockbacks and having to show that fight, that's a massive part of kind of establishing yourself as a footballer. And I had to do that at times at Mill for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, watch you, Chris. It's Stan here, mate. Hi, Stan. You got to play a key part in the 08-09 season, leading to a playoff final against Scunthorpe.
Yeah.
Kenny Jackett put you in a fullback position, which seems a bit strange. But anyway, can you tell us, do you know what Kenny's thinking behind all this was, and how did you find life playing in that position?
I actually think now, if I was probably coming through now, that I'd probably end up as a fullback now playing, to be honest, because a lot of the wide players now are kind of inside forwards. They come inside the pitch a little bit. I was very much like an outside of the pitch player. I was straight lines, quick. I used to like to get wide and put crosses in the box. I think that's what probably his thinking was at the time. It was kind of new. It was newish back then. I think it wasn't probably the modern trend as much. Back then it was like the fullbacks were out and out defenders, so it was kind of in that transitional period. So whether he was thinking that, because I mean, my crossing was one of my assets, and Stan White's, whether he thought with kind of, we had Gary Alexander, Steve Morrison, Neil Harris, who were real good players in a box, could attack crosses. Whether you wanted an extra player on the pitch who was wide, who could kind of put the ball in the box. I don't know. He never really talked about it at the time. I know we had a lot of wide players who could compete in wide areas, so it kind of ended up just getting chucked in there in a game. We were playing a pre-season game down at Ebbsfleet, I think we were playing, and I got chucked in there. Someone got injured, ended up playing kind of part of the game there, and did pretty well there. And he spoke to me after and said, "You played full back before?" And I was like, "No, not really. Played as a wing back, but I'll give it a go, give it a crack." And he said, "Oh, I might give you a go there." So I ended up playing quite a lot of that season actually, as a full back, and did pretty well at times. I preferred to play wide because I preferred to play higher at the pitch, but I didn't mind playing there. And actually, when I went on to play at Northampton, Adi Buford ended up playing me there quite a bit as well. So it kind of, off the back of that, it kind of gave me another kind of string to the bow, really. But like I said, I did prefer playing as a wide player, though.
Chris, were you confident at the beginning of the season that a promotion push could happen? And what was your expectation on arriving at Wembley for the playoff final?
Obviously, we had the season before the Scunthorpe final, which we lost in. Unfortunately, obviously went ahead, and Gaz had a great chance to obviously go further ahead, and obviously Scunthorpe come back in that game. We were confident in the group we had. We had a real strong group. We had no real outstanding players, but we were really close knit as a group. And yeah, we had that belief that we could, obviously, although there were kind of big teams in the league those couple of years, we had Leeds to compete with, and I think Southampton, Charlton. There were some big clubs in there that those couple of seasons. Norwich as well. I think we were spending big money. We probably didn't have a bigger budget as them, but we recognised that we had a core of kind of players who really got on, who were really close, and really kind of worked hard for each other. So yeah, we were positive off the back of the Scunthorpe one that we could go and have another positive, successful season. Obviously, we just missed out on the last game of going straight up automatic. Well, that was obviously the aim, because we recognise obviously the playoffs is always tough. It's obviously a brilliant way to go and win, which we did in the end against Swindon, which was unbelievable kind of way to go and get promoted. Much better than what it would be if you just kind of do it in a normal season. But yeah, there was obviously a little bit of apprehension off the back of the previous season going into the playoffs. But at the same time, we felt we had that experience in the group that Swindon probably didn't have when we were going into those playoff games. So yeah, we were quietly confident, but recognise obviously it's tough when you go into the playoffs, you know.
Absolutely. Chris, Debbie here again.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi. Pulled it from Kenny Jackett for what you did at Wembley. Gary Alexander probably scoring the best goal at Wembley had ever seen. How did looking ahead to the next season, still in League One, feel for both you and the team?
Yeah, I was just kind of touched on a little bit there. I mean, playoffs, not having experienced that the following year, but obviously they're the best way to go and get promoted. But also at the end of the season, if you lose in the playoff final, and I've actually done it, I did it actually after that with Northampton as well, lost in the playoff final to Bradford. It's a terrible way to end the season. It kind of really does knock you off the back of that. It's very flat. The whole group, and individually and the group, it does knock you. It's a long old season as well, because you've gone all the way to the end of May. And I think that season, actually, I think the season started a little bit earlier. So I think we ended up only having kind of 2-3 weeks break, and we're straight back at it again. But like I said, yeah, after the initial kind of the emotions of getting beat in that game, having played pretty well and come so close in that game as well, I think the boys responded really well, because it was that group. We had a real, like I said before, we had a close-knit group, strong characters who kind of recognised, right, let's roll our sleeves up and crack on and go again. And we did that, to be fair. But it is tough. It is tough mentally to just go all the way to the end of the May and all of a sudden lose your biggest game of your life, in theory, and then have to go again a couple of weeks later and get yourself going again, knowing you've got to go through that kind of 40, 50 odd games to get yourself promoted again.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Chris, I'm interested to know. I mean, you are a coach at the under-18 level of as I understand it, Oxford. Now, the first question I'm going to ask you is that what is in all the teams that you play at that level? Are there any teams there that play a 4-4-2? And the reason I asked the question, because I remember once reading an interview with a play, he was just asked, he was not about asked particularly about that. That weren't what the interview was about. And but the guy asked him, bloke my name is Tom Bradshaw. He said, about 4-4-2, and he just turned around and said, well, 4-4-2 is going out the window now, he said. And I just wondered whether, you know, at that level, does any size that you come up against, do they play a 4-4-2?
I think that there are still teams who we've got we're playing in the FA Youth Cup in the last 16, and we're playing Leeds. And our game got called off on Wednesday, actually, and we're preparing to play against them. And they look like they played a 4-4-2. Nothing looks like an old school 4-4-2 where, like, two strikers play up front. If I'm honest, it's a lot of you always get one of the strikers dropping in as a number 10, and the wingers kind of coming inside a little bit, and the fullbacks going a little bit higher. So to answer to that question, like an old school 4-4-2, probably not as much, especially in academy football. But there's versions of that. There's versions of that for sure. And there's a lot of teams that they structure themselves off a 4-4-2, maybe out of possession they're a 4-4-2. And they kind of defend as a 4-4-2 and press as a 4-4-2, but in possession they're a little bit more fluid back compared to what we were back in kind of 2010 when we were very much a 4-4-2. You've got two wide players, two midfielders, two strikers who are very much strikers. You kind of tend to find that you might get one striker and one dropping in a little bit more, who's a bit more of a number 10. But it's not a million miles away, if I'm honest. It's adapted slightly.
And just one more brief question. And all the players and staff in that was at Millwall when you were there, was there anyone that inspired you particularly?
I enjoyed working with Richard Shaw. I enjoyed working with Shozza, just in terms of what he'd done in his career. He'd obviously played in the Premier League, and he was still playing at the time with us at 35, 36. He was so fit. But he was also a real top guy as well, real down-to-earth guy. Considering what he'd done in being a young player at the time myself, he kind of helped me a lot. He was a guy that I respected on the pitch, but off the pitch, obviously you come across guys who you play with in that time and they're unbelievable on the pitch, and you see them now and they've gone off to have unbelievable careers, international careers, and that's brilliant. But for me, obviously, it's important that the key is how they are off the pitch as well, and the kind of person they are. And Richard Shaw was that. He was both. He was a great player, but a real good guy as well off the pitch. So yeah, he's one that sticks out. But there's a lot of people I come across, a lot of players, a lot of staff come across at Millwall. It's a great club, brilliant club, some great people. Really enjoyed my time there. And yeah, I always kind of look back at it now and always look out for Millwall results and look out and still speak to some of the guys there now. So yeah, I got a real kind of good connection with Millwall, the club, and the people there.
Can I ask you something? It's Debbie here again.
No problem, yeah.
Yeah. What is your fondest memory at Millwall?
I think it's got to be getting promoted at Wembley. Like I said, those off the back of losing that game at Scunthorpe and then going a full season, 50-odd games, just missing out on the last game of the season when Leeds obviously scored that goal. I think Bristol Rovers they beat to go up automatically instead of us. That great game we had at Swindon at home on the last game of the season when one stage we thought we were getting promoted, could hear the fans celebrating and it goes quiet off the back of all those emotions, and then having to go through the playoffs again off the back of losing to Scunthorpe the previous season, and then actually kind of finally getting over the line and get promoted in that Swindon game, and the emotions of that game with kind of Charlie Austin at the time going through one-on-one, and like that bobble bounces up off of the one bobble on the pitch and he misses that chance and we get promoted. That of course there's some other moments, but that was a great day off the back of a long couple of seasons, you know.
You made me feel as though I was there.
Yeah, no, it's still fresh in the memory now. I still think about it all the time. I still think about it. Still there that day. Obviously, for me, it's a very special day. So yeah, I can still remember bits of it. It's brilliant.
Lovely.
Well, Chris, there is never enough time to get all our questions in. But before I let you go, it is a tradition on our show to ask our guests to give a score prediction ahead of our next game, which is at Loftus Road on Saturday when we visit QPR. So they've got 4 wins and a loss in their last 5 games, and they defeated us by 2-0 at the Den in September. How do you think it will finish on Saturday?
I'm going to go for a 2-1 Millwall win. I think Millwall's in decent form, aren't they? I've obviously keep an eye on the results. In decent form, picked up a couple of decent away wins recently. I think it's a Watford the game they beat Watford away. A couple of decent away wins recently. So I think the positioning they're in now, Millwall obviously just sitting outside that playoffs. I'm gonna back Millwall. So obviously it's a London derby. It's never an easy place to go. Tight, compact pitch there at Loftus Road, but I back them for it's going to be a tight game, I think, but a 2-1 win will go down nicely. Get them into the playoffs over the weekend. That'd be lovely. Absolutely, good to hear. Well, thanks, Chris, for coming on the show. It has been brilliant to talk with you, and there is still so much to explore. So please, we'll hope to get you back on in the not too distant future, and all the best to you and your family. Thanks very much. Brilliant to come on. All the best, guys. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Chris.
Cheers, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Well, we will take another break there and listen to what is coming up next month at the Millwall Community Trust. On Tuesday, the 14th of March, ahead of our game against Swansea City, Roy Lana, who is known for his gallantry at London Bridge in confronting 3 machete-wielding terrorists who murdered and caused mayhem in the area on the night of June the 3rd, 2017. He will be at the Lions Centre in Ballina Road from 5:30pm. The Lion of London Bridge books will be available to purchase, and Roy will sign those books ahead of the main event at 6:15. Our very own Jeff Burnage will then host Roy in discussion and bring questions from the floor. You can hear the story of Roy's hurt, reform and his ongoing fight for compensation. Arthur Kitchener, singer and songwriter, will also perform Roy Lana, the Lion of London Bridge. The evening closes at 7:15pm to allow fans to get their seats for the match. For tickets, contact k.bennett at millwallcommunity.org.uk. So let me say that again. For tickets, contact k.bennett at millwallcommunity.org.uk. And on the night, please make a donation if you can to the Harvey Brown MPS Society, who support families with MPS and similar disorders that cause a range of progressive disabilities. I'm your host, Bethany Warren, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Myles Thornton, Debbie Julians and Stan Godwin. That'll be a fascinating evening with Roy and Jeff. Please make sure to book your tickets well in advance. Let's hear from Ellis Barr.
Ellis here. Thank you for watching my videos. Now to hear what the Millwall Lionesses and Romans have been up to, and to hear who is next up for Gary Rowett and the Lions. Come on, Millwall!
Ellis, please keep us posted with videos on everything that you're up to. We have news from Millwall Romans and Pride, and a Lionesses review and preview from Jeff Burnage. So let's start with Jeff.
Feet Don't Fail Me now on Maritime Radio, and we've got a match report now as the Millwall Lionesses were in play this weekend. Jeff Burnage has the latest.
This is Jeff Burnage reporting on Millwall Lionesses, who were without a fixture this weekend for their senior team, and so they staged a full-scale 11-a-side friendly internally at St Paul's Sports Ground in Rotherhithe. Management duo Jack Wheeler and Alex Russell included some of their very successful under-18 side, who on Saturday had travelled to Burnham near Slough to take on Wycombe Wanderers. They came away with the 3 points in this Junior Premier League clash after a 3-2 win, featuring a brace from Cadence Kabadaki and a great Melissa Jones free kick. The 89th minute Kabadaki winner was set up by a brilliant Millie Self through ball. Next week, these under-18s will entertain Nottingham Forest in the Junior Premier League, while the seniors wait to see who their next opponents will be.
Thanks, Jeff, and we look forward to hearing you from those matches in the near future. Back to this morning, all your...
Debbie, the Lionesses under-18 side seem to be doing very well, and Cadence Kabadaki regularly features on the first team. What are your thoughts?
Yes, Cadence Kabadaki is, I can never say it, but there you go, did extremely well. 2 goals out in there, and then the other one by Melissa Jones, which was a free kick. They had to win that game, and they have to win their games from now on. Millie Self, she's one of the twins, but she laid on that great pass and through ball, and she did extremely well, and good praise for her there. She did very, very well. They play the Junior Premier League under-18s. The academy, they actually play on Saturday morning. I'm sure everyone knows that. The next one is Nottingham Forest, as Jeff just said. The week after is a quarter-final Capital Cup called the Junior Section, and they're playing the Actonians. And this is actually an adult cup. So they're doing very, very well.
Amazing. That's good to hear. So, next up, Millwall Romans and Pride Chairman Paul Loading updates us.
Hi all, hope everyone's keeping well. It's Paul Loading from the Millwall Romans with a quick update. The Romans team travelled to East London to the infamous Hackney Marshes again on Sunday to play Soho FC. Soho FC, still a really decent side. They're not having the best season so far. They did set up really, really well. We currently have a couple of injuries in our team. We were missing Richard Nichols at the back. Sebastian Morley turned up with a bit of an injury, and Jay Lamonius, our striker, again still carrying a bit of an injury. So we started the game playing on a very bobbly pitch that again just doesn't really suit our style. Soho set up really well, a very, very defensive formation. We're trying to keep us out as much as they could, and it was work. It did work. It was frustrating us quite a bit, and we went into half time 0-0. Our tactic from sort of half time was so we needed to up our style of play and play it more to the wings. We had Fernando back on Sunday, very, very quick wing back, with James Baker playing up front. Again, very good striker, very clinical in front of goal. We needed to get these two involved a bit more in the game. So the plan was to get it out to those channels and get the ball in to make it very difficult for Soho defence to deal with. And we did try it as much as we could. We did manage to nick a goal halfway through the second half, which it kind of felt it was going to be one of those games where as long as we scored one, we were going to nick the 3 points. And I think we were happy with the outcome. It was never going to be a high scoring game with how Soho set up and the pitch we were playing on. As I say, we were carrying a couple of injuries, which hasn't helped us. But it's really, really good to get the 3 points. We're still unbeaten for the season, kept another clean sheet. So very, very positive into the day. I'm going to be very positive this weekend with the QPR away game. Obviously, Millwall pushing for a playoff position. I'm going to say let's put some good thoughts out there, good energy, and I was going to say 2-0 to Millwall. Coming up this weekend for the Millwall Romans, we're actually on a break for this weekend. We have got a couple of weeks off. We're going to try and schedule some friendlies in. The GFSN Cup semi-final is being played at the end of April, last weekend of April, so we've got plenty of time to get the weeks in and practice our formation.
So, Myles, you now report on the Romans and Pride. Can you update us on their league standings, points and distance to the next best place side?
Yeah, so the Romans are at the top of the league, having played 11 games and won 11 games. Most recent being, obviously, as Paul Odin said, their 1-0 victory at the Hackney Marshes to Soho. They're 9 points clear at the top ahead of Charlton, who do have 2 games in hand of them though. Millwall Pride, on the other hand, are at the bottom of the league in 10th place on 1 point. They've played 9 games and have lost 8 and drawn 1. Their most recent loss was against the Titans Heroes team in a 3-0 loss at home.
And Stan, it's looking good for the Romans as they get closer to clinching the title again, hopefully, and a GFSN Cup tie against Dublin to look forward to as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, that's absolutely right. I mean, I've been saying this, I think, from the best part of last season, and certainly every week I'm on this show and we do it. I mean, Romans, I mean, they just seem to go from strength to strength, don't they? I mean, I think out of all the Millwall teams we've got, yeah, they just, you know, everything they seem to touch turns to gold. And no, they're doing really, really well. And you know, sometimes you have to pinch yourself and think yourself, well, you know, it can't go on, but it does. And it's always positive news in one way or one shape or form or another. You know, or it always is. I don't think, you know, I can't think of any sort of bad, you know, anything that particularly has been outrageous has happened to them, and hopefully that won't do. So, I mean, hopefully they're going to go on to win the title, and hopefully if they win this GFSN Cup, it'll be a double. And, you know, and then they go from strength to strength again. I mean, it just continues on, and long may that continue. Excellent. Absolutely excellent.
Our fans quickly snapped up the allocation for Saturday's trip to Queen's Park Rangers. QPR have already taken 3 points from us in September at the Den. The Hoops have added former Reading striker Chris Martin on a short-term deal until the end of the season, just weeks after leaving Bristol City. And then they added Jamal Lowe on loan from Bournemouth, as it was rumoured he shunned an unsubstantiated move to Millwall. For us, Mason Bennett and Sean Hutchinson are both set for lengthy spells on the sidelines, while Adomo Amaku is nearing a return to action in the next couple of weeks. Luke Amos looks like he may return to the QPR first team fold after being sidelined early last month. He played 55 minutes of an under-21 game, 2-2 draw at Millwall's training ground on Tuesday. Amos has played both a central midfielder and out on the right-hand side this season, so it'll be interesting to see where he fits into Critchley's plans and if he can indeed get back to 100%. But since the departure of their former manager Beale, QPR's form has been inconsistent. In the last 5, they've drawn 4 and lost 1. If history plays a part, then the last 6 meetings with us playing at QPR, we have drawn 3 and lost 3. The goal difference is in their favour. The odds just favour Rangers. We are being quoted at 9-5 to win, with a draw at 11-10, or a win for the Hoops at 8-5. So, Stan, what are we thinking? What's your prediction?
I'm looking forward to the game on Saturday, and I'm confident we're going to run out eventually 3-1 winners.
Brilliant. Myles, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm also confident. I think, you know, in their last 3 games, they've drawn 3 and lost 2. And we've got a bit better form than that. So I'm going to go a 2-1 win for Millwall. I think Amos will get their goal. I think he'll come on and score. Not sure why I think that. I just do. I've said it all week. And I think Duncan Watmore, I've said this all week as well, I think Duncan Watmore will score for us. Duncan Watmore and Oliver Burke will score for us.
That'd be good to get the 2 newbies scoring as well, opening their account. Debbie, what about you?
Well, QPR are not their strongest at the moment, aren't they? They're in a bit of a state. I think we've got a very good chance. We do need to win all our games now, really, to get into the playoffs. So, you know, we want this. You're either 3rd, 4th, or 5th, and we'd rather be on the side of being on the 3rd, so we get the home in the 2nd league. But I'll go 2-1, same as Myles.
Hello everyone, Myles Thornton here, and I'm at Harvey's Den Cafe with Harvey Brown. Harvey, what are your predictions for Millwall versus QPR tomorrow?
Hello everybody, Harvey here. I think it's going to be a 2-1 win, Millwall. Don't know who's going to score. I'm going to say Bradshaw and Fleming, and probably Dyke, who will score for them. And yeah, come on you Lions.
Thank you very much, Harvey. A very happy birthday from everyone here at the No One Likes Us Talking team.
Thank you everyone.
Brilliant. So we will take a break there, and if you're not sick of my voice already, listen to me talking about how to sponsor or donate to the Millwall Community Trust. The work of the Millwall Community Trust makes a big difference for people in Lewisham, Southwark and North Kent. Times are getting tougher, and to help them make a difference, you can help too, by making a donation. Give a one-off donation or a monthly amount. Your support is crucial in raising vital funds for their work, or by fundraising for them. If you are running, swimming, cycling, cooking, dancing, parachuting or anything else, why not do it for the Millwall Community Trust? Interested? Then either email inquiries@millwallcommunity.org.uk or phone 0207 740 0503. I'll say that again. Email inquiries@millwallcommunity.org.uk or phone 0207 740 0503. Thanks if you can. I'm your host, Bethany Warren, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Myles Thornton, Debbie Julians and Stan Godwin. If you can, do any of those things that I mentioned. It will go a long way to support the MCT in meeting the needs of the community. Our final guest tonight is a Millwall fan from the North East Millwall group who joins us as a fan in the dugout. He was born and bred in Hartlepool, but followed his father's love of the Lions. Let's say welcome for the second time in 2 weeks to a man from the North East. Let's welcome Richy Smith. Hi, Richy.
Hello, how are you doing?
Hello, Richy, you okay?
Yeah, you're all good, Richy.
Yeah, I'm smashing.
Hi, Richy.
Hello.
Well, Richy, welcome.
I'm just reading I watch it here's every Friday when I'm at work or at home. I'm going to be on the show this week.
Oh, that's good to hear. It's always strange hearing your voice back. So, well, welcome to our studio. It is not your first time on the show, but your past experience was pre-COVID. So, you and your dad, Keith, among others, sponsor our website. So thank you very much. But how did he convince you to follow the Lions with all of those teams up in the North East coast to choose from?
Oh, well, yeah, I was born. I was like, set your year up in the North East, and Dad said I was for Millwall. It's always been me blood. Same with me dad. I follow his footsteps. I'll go from there.
Nice, exactly the same as me. Good one.
Myles here, Richy. Of all the Millwall games over the years, what one is your most memorable and why?
Oh, I've got a few. Really, I've got a few come from mind. Got 1998 Owen Shield final, the old Wembley. I travelled down from the North East down to London when Dad was working. Met up with him, then had a great weekend, apart from the result, but it was great travel, coming down there, then come back up home as man of affairs.
Hi, Richy. It's Debbie here. The team that Rowett has been The team that Rowett has built are having some success this season. Do you think they can make the playoffs or even get promoted?
Oh, believe it or not, I like to see us get promotion through the playoffs. My prediction this season, I think we hit fourth. Then next season, come try and get into second or even top place. I'll be happy.
Yes, love your accent.
Yeah, Richie, this Stan here. Our side has got some talent when you look at the squad. What player impresses you the most?
Well, my favourite players at the moment is Zane Fleming. He's talented player, fit right in the squad, fit around with the players. The fans love him, the manager loves him, players get on really well. and he scores goals for us, even from 40 yards.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say your choice is excellent, mate. Absolutely excellent. But right, and I don't think you'll find there'll be too many people will disagree with that choice either, as it goes.
Yeah, I think the choices. I mean, a lot of people are saying. I think my choice at the end of the season when it goes to Players of the Award, I'd probably go towards him. A lot of fans like him. We hope we get to the award at the end of the season.
Well, hopefully. Some interesting thoughts there, Richie. Well, as you know, all who are present, including our guests, are asked to make a prediction for the next Millwall game, which is away to QPR. So how do you think that will finish? And please give us your predicted score.
My prediction would be, 2-1 Lions win. My prediction of the weekend. QPR not as much good form at the moment. I think our away form has picked up over the last couple of games. I think we should nick 2-1 result.
Good to hear. Yeah, I think most people have all said 2-1 tonight as well. So thank you, Richie, for joining us this evening. Are there any listeners or listener that you would like to say anything to?
No, listen to Friday night, and I hope you enjoy the show, and I hope we speak to you soon in the future.
Yes, absolutely. All the best to you and your family and the sponsorship team, and we'll definitely be hearing from you once again down the line. So thank you, Richie, and good night.
Yeah, see you, mate.
Cheers. Good to see you, lads. Thank you very much.
Night, Richie.
Yeah, see ya.
Thanks, Richie. Bye-bye.
So we will take a break there and listen to the lovely Debbie Julians with Harvey Brown at the Lions Food Hub.
Let's hear from Harvey Brown.
Have you heard of the Lions Food Hub? That Millwall Lioness, Kelly Webster, is involved. Don't forget to help the Lions Food Hub if you can. Thank you.
As Harvey said, they need your support. If you can help, and you can make a one-off or a regular monetary donation at Banquet, that is BANKUET. You will find them online. Insert www.banquet.co.uk/Lions Food Hub into your browser. I'll say that again, www.banquet.co.uk/Lions Food Hub. And the Lions Food Hub is all one word. On match days, you can make food and toiletry donations at the Lions Food Hub, which is opposite the 1885 bar at the Cold Blow Lane end of the ground. Alternatively, you can also contact the team via the Lions Food Hub Twitter or Facebook sites.
I'm your host, Bethany Warren, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Myles Thornton, Debbie Julians and Stan Godwin. It is over 2 years when the Lions Food Hub came into being, which for us was a bittersweet celebration. Did we really foresee that food hubs becoming a permanent fixture in the 21st century? Nonetheless, Kelly and Ellen Webster, all the Hubster team, their sponsors and those that donate are making such a difference in supporting those that are at risk. You can help them too, if you can, as the country sadly heads into a further recession. We are all looking forward to when Saturday comes, but in the meantime, here are a few matters of interest for Millwall fans.
As you heard earlier on, an evening with Roy Lana hosted by Jeff Burnage at the Lions Centre in Ballina Road, SE16, takes place on Tuesday the 14th of March. From 5:30pm, the Lion of London Bridge books will be available to purchase and Roy will sign books ahead of the main event at 6:15pm. The event will finish at 7:15pm ahead of Millwall's game against Swansea City to allow fans to get to their seats. Light refreshments and snacks will be available from Harvey's Den Cafe within the event venue. Entry can be gained by booking in advance and making a donation on the night to the Harvey Brown MPS Society, who support families with MPS and similar disorders that cause a range of progressive disabilities. Book now by emailing k.bennett@millwallcommunity.org. I'll say that again, k.bennett NNETT at millwallcommunity.org.uk to reserve your seat. Ticket availability is limited.
Next Friday, George is our host with a panel of Pat, Jeff and Ted. There will be a couple of guests and a review of the weekend's game and what is coming up. Additionally, calling all Dockers. Dockers Day will return for the first time since 2019, and I say hurrah, for a game against Huddersfield Town at the Den on Saturday the 18th of March. Our Phil Coleman will be there with his teammates of the FA Youth Cup winning side of 1978-1979 to meet and greet the Dockers. Chris Bethel, the organiser, is still looking for former Dockers from London Docks who had, in the great tradition, as I know, following Millwall, to come along and as guest of the day. If you follow someone who has, or if they are a Docker, please contact Chris by email. That's beths16@hotmail.com. I'll spell that. BETHES16@hotmail.com. Or if you're on Facebook, you can contact Chris Bethel via Messenger.
You heard from our sponsored lioness, Jay Keogh and Grace Seeley at the beginning of the show. So why not sponsor a lioness kit like us to help get them back to where they belong? If you are an organisation, you can get a fantastic exposure opportunities for your business. Just like the Victory Goalkeeper gloves, Andy Rothery, Impetus Women's Football, Megan J and Lola Baxter, Gianluca Sardi, and as mentioned ourselves. On the top of seeing your name on the club website, you will be able to enjoy a range of benefits. Signed shirt, meet your sponsored player, free invitations to a VIP sponsored day, a free season ticket to all the home games, and a presentation photo. Kit sponsorship is priced at £160 plus VAT. To purchase, get in touch with the Lionesses by emailing Kelly Webster on kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk. I'll say that again, kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk, and that is all in small case.
Don't forget, you'll be able to listen to the No One Likes Us Talking team bring reports from our games both home and away for both the Lions and Lionesses, and also updates on Millwall Community Matters too on Maritime Radio, broadcasting on 96.5 FM or on their website. Additionally, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, Tumblr and Twitter, and all of the popular podcast sites. Thanks and good night, Myles.
Thank you very much, Bethany, and good night to you too.
Thank you, and good night to Debbie.
Good night, Bethany and all.
And thanks, and good night, Stan.
Yeah, good night, and good night to everyone concerned.
Finally, let's not forget to keep it safe on the streets out there. Good night, and many thanks for listening to the No One Likes Us Talking team.